As a marine archaeologist, I had spent most of my career studying the secrets hidden beneath the waves. My name is Dr. Emily Carter, and for years, my team and I had explored sunken ships, lost cities, and ancient artifacts, but nothing could prepare me for what I would discover on our latest expedition, a venture into the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean. We set sail on the research vessel Oceanus, equipped with state-of-the-art technology and a small crew of experienced divers and researchers. Among them were Tom, our seasoned deep-sea diver, and Lisa, our brilliant oceanographer. We were all aware that the trench held mysteries that had eluded mankind for centuries. The ocean is vast, and its depths are often uncharted territory, teeming with creatures and phenomena that science has yet to fully understand. As we descended into the inky blackness of the trench, the pressure outside the submersible was palpable, a constant reminder of how fragile our human bodies were against nature's wrath. Our lights cut through the darkness, illuminating strange and ethereal forms. Bioluminescent creatures dancing in the dark, their ghostly glow flickering like stars in a forgotten galaxy. Yet, beneath this beauty lurked an unsettling feeling, a chill that crept into my bones. On the third day, as we explored a previously uncharted section of the trench, we received an unexpected transmission from our underwater drones. The feed displayed images of what appeared to be an ancient structure, a colossal, stone-like edifice resting on the ocean floor, partially buried in sediment. Its surface was covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly, pulsing with an otherworldly light. Tom, always the skeptic, shrugged it off. Probably just another shipwreck or some geological formation. Don't get your hopes up. But I felt an overwhelming urge to investigate further. I had spent my life pursuing the past, and this could be the discovery that would define my career, a glimpse into a civilization long lost to the tides of time. After some deliberation, we decided to send down the submersible, Abyssal Explorer. As we prepared for the dive, a strange feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. The deeper we went, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. My mind raced with questions. What had built this structure? Why had it been hidden for so long? As we approached the site, the ocean around us seemed to pulse with a life of its own, a rhythm I couldn't quite place. I felt an inexplicable pull toward the structure, as if it were calling to me. My heart pounded in my chest as the lights of our submersible illuminated the massive stone walls, intricately carved with symbols that twisted and turned in ways I couldn't comprehend. "Do you see that?" Lisa gasped, her voice barely a whisper. "It looks like a door." Indeed, at the center of the structure was a large archway, framed by the bizarre symbols. I could hardly breathe as we hovered in front of it, the immense pressure of the water pressing against our submersible like a suffocating shroud. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the submersible jolted. The console lit up with warnings, alarms blaring in chaotic succession. Tom cursed under his breath, desperately trying to stabilize our descent. "What the hell is happening?" I shouted, my voice laced with panic. "It's the power. We're losing it," Tom replied, his fingers racing over the controls. The lights flickered again, plunging us into darkness for a brief moment before the emergency lights kicked in, casting an eerie red glow. I turned my attention back to the doorway, entranced. The symbols seemed to swirl and shift, almost as if they were alive. And then, just as quickly as it began, everything settled. The submersible steadied itself, and the alarm ceased. We exchanged bewildered glances, our breaths shaky. It felt as if something had momentarily grasped us, only to let go. "Did you feel that?" I asked, my heart racing. Tom nodded, his expression serious. It felt intentional, like something was warning us. "We need to document this," Lisa insisted, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. "We have to see what's inside." Against my better judgment, curiosity got the better of me. We maneuvered the submersible closer to the entrance. I could hardly breathe, not from the pressure outside, but from the sheer weight of anticipation. What lay beyond that doorway? Would it change everything we knew about human history? Tom activated the drone, sending it through the archway. The live feed streamed back to our monitors, revealing a cavernous chamber bathed in a dim, otherworldly glow. The walls were covered in strange murals, depicting scenes of ancient beings and their interactions with water and creatures I had never seen before. But then the drone's camera caught something unexpected. Shadows flickered along the walls, fleeting and almost imperceptible. My pulse quickened as I tried to make sense of what I was seeing. "Are you getting this?" I asked, my voice tight with anxiety. "Yes," Tom replied, his brow furrowed. "But I don't like it. We need to proceed with caution." I nodded, knowing he was right, but the thrill of discovery drowned out my instincts. "Let's go in." As we opened the hatch and descended into the chamber, I felt an electric charge in the air, a strange energy that made the hairs on my arms stand on end. The murals glowed softly around us, casting long shadows that danced across the floor. "Stay close," Tom said, his voice firm. "We don't know what we're dealing with here." We stepped cautiously into the chamber, the ocean's pressure fading into the background as the stunning artwork enveloped us. Each mural told a story of a civilization that thrived in this abyssal world. I ran my fingers over the intricate carvings, tracing the lines of ancient symbols. The atmosphere felt thick, almost sentient, as if the very walls were watching us. Tom focused the drone's light on one mural, revealing a depiction of a creature, an enormous, elongated figure with tentacle-like appendages and eyes that seemed to follow us. "What in the world is that?" he murmured, leaning closer to get a better look. "It looks almost like a god," Lisa suggested, her voice barely above a whisper, "but it's unlike anything I've ever seen." As I studied the artwork, I couldn't shake the feeling that the chamber was alive with whispers. At first, I thought it was just the sound of water shifting, but then I realized it was something else, an indistinct murmur that seemed to ebb and flow like the tide. I glanced at my team, but they were lost in their own thoughts. I closed my eyes, trying to focus on the sound. It was rhythmic, almost like a chant. A chill ran down my spine as I felt the weight of history pressing down on me. "Emily," Tom's voice broke my concentration. "You okay?" "Yeah," I replied, shaking off the unease, just feeling a bit strange. We continued deeper into the chamber, each step sending ripples through the air around us. My mind raced with questions. Who had built this place? What had they worshipped? And why was it here, buried beneath the ocean for centuries? As we ventured further, I noticed the carvings became more intricate, depicting rituals and sacrifices. One mural in particular caught my eye, a representation of a group of figures surrounding the monstrous entity, their faces twisted in ecstasy or terror. It was a haunting image, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. Suddenly, the drone's camera flickered, and the screen distorted, momentarily plunging us into darkness. Panic surged through me as I instinctively reached for the controls, but before I could respond, the screen blinked back to life. The feed revealed a dark, swirling mass in the corner of the chamber, an inky blackness that seemed to pulse and breathe. I stared, transfixed, as the shadows writhed and twisted, forming shapes that were almost humanoid. "What the hell is that?" Lisa gasped, stepping back. "I don't know," I whispered, my throat dry, "but we need to get a closer look." Tom shot me a warning glance. "Emily, we should leave. This doesn't feel right." But I was already moving closer to the darkness, drawn in like a moth to a flame. It felt as if the mass were calling to me, beckoning me closer. The whispers grew louder, and I could almost make out words, ancient, forgotten languages weaving through my mind. "Stay close," Tom insisted, his voice laced with urgency. I turned to him, shaking my head. "We can't just leave. We're so close to uncovering something incredible." Reluctantly, Tom followed me deeper into the chamber, Lisa right behind us. The whispers morphed into a cacophony of voices, rising and falling like the tide. It was both beautiful and terrifying, and I felt as if I were losing my grip on reality. The dark mass pulsated, and I reached out a hand, trembling with anticipation. Just as my fingers brushed against the surface, a jolt of energy surged through me. The chamber shook and the walls echoed with a deafening roar. "Get back," Tom shouted, grabbing my arm and pulling me away. The shadows twisted violently, coalescing into a shape that resembled the creature from the mural. Its eyes glowed with an eerie light, locking onto mine, and I felt a surge of fear and understanding wash over me. This was no mere entity, it was a guardian, a keeper of secrets, and it was not pleased with our intrusion. The whispers escalated into a frenzied chant, and I could feel my mind unraveling as visions flooded my thoughts. Images of a civilization lost to time, of dark rituals and sacrifices made to appease the depths. I stumbled backward, colliding with the wall as the darkness surged toward us. "Emily," Lisa screamed, her voice piercing through the chaos. Tom pulled me to my feet, his face pale with terror. "We need to get out of here now." I nodded, my heart racing, and together we bolted for the entrance. The darkness reached for us, tendrils of shadow grasping at our heels as we sprinted back toward the submersible. The whispers roared, a cacophony of voices that threatened to drown out our screams. We scrambled into Abyssal Explorer, slamming the hatch shut behind us. Tom rushed to the controls, his hands shaking as he activated the ascent protocol. The submersible jerked violently as we began to rise, the oppressive weight of the ocean pressing down on us. "What the hell was that?" Lisa gasped, her eyes wide with fear. "I don't know," I admitted, my breath coming in quick gasps, but it felt sentient, like it was trying to warn us or keep us away. As we ascended, the darkness flickered behind us, fading into the depths as if the chamber were closing its doors. I couldn't shake the feeling that we had uncovered something we were never meant to find. The ocean was a vast and mysterious entity, and we had disturbed its secrets. Once we surfaced, the ocean around us seemed deceptively calm. The sun shone brightly overhead, but my heart was heavy with dread. We gathered in the control room of Oceanus, trying to process what had just happened. "What was that place?" Lisa asked, her voice trembling. "It felt like a tomb." Tom shook his head, still staring out at the endless water. "I don't know, but whatever it was, it didn't want us there." I leaned against the wall, grappling with the overwhelming sensations I had experienced in the chamber. The whispers still echoed in my mind, and I felt a strange connection to the dark mass. "We need to go back," I said, surprising myself with the words. "Are you insane?" Tom shot back, his eyes wide with disbelief. "We barely escaped." "I need to understand what we saw," I insisted, my voice steady. "There are things we need to uncover. We can't just leave it behind." Lisa glanced between us, her face pale. "But what if it was a warning? What if it's dangerous?" "I don't care," I replied, the determination in my voice shocking even me. "We owe it to history to uncover the truth." After a long silence, Tom sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Fine, but we do this on my terms. We'll go back with more equipment and extra safety measures." Reluctantly, we prepared for our second descent. My mind buzzed with excitement and fear, each thought twisting like the shadows we had encountered. What if we were walking into a trap? But the allure of discovery pulled me in like a siren's call, and I couldn't resist. This time, we descended with reinforced gear and additional drones. As we approached the structure once more, the memories of our last visit flooded back, both the thrill of discovery and the terror that accompanied it. As we hovered above the entrance, I felt the same electric charge in the water. "This is it," I said, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. Tom glanced at me, his expression serious. "Just remember to keep your wits about you." We maneuvered the submersible into the chamber, the air heavy with anticipation. The glowing murals greeted us, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of reverence as I took in the ancient art. But I could also sense the darkness lurking in the corners, waiting for us. Once inside, we deployed the drones, watching their feeds closely. They glided through the chamber, capturing every detail, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. "Can you hear that?" Lisa asked, her eyes wide. I nodded, straining to listen. The whispers were back, more pronounced this time, swirling around us like a tempest. My heart raced as I focused on the dark mass in the corner. It writhed and pulsed, as if it had a life of its own. "Get the drone closer," I instructed Tom, my pulse quickening. As the drone neared the darkness, a sudden surge of energy crackled through the air. The shadows coalesced, forming the monstrous figure from the murals. Its eyes blazed with an intense light, locking onto me, and I felt a rush of fear and understanding wash over me. The whispers rose to a crescendo, filling the chamber with an unearthly sound that echoed through my mind. Images flooded my thoughts, visions of the civilization that had worshipped this entity, their rituals, their sacrifices. I stumbled back, gripping the console for support as the creature loomed closer. "Emily, we need to get out of here," Tom shouted, panic etched on his face. But I was transfixed, unable to look away from the creature. It seemed to communicate with me, sharing its history, its pain, and its anger. I could almost hear its voice, resonating deep within my mind. "You awaken what should remain undisturbed." "Emily," Lisa's voice broke through my reverie. "Snap out of it." I shook my head, my vision blurring. "It's trying to tell us something," I whispered, feeling the weight of the knowledge crashing over me. Tom's voice was frantic as he tried to stabilize the submersible. "We can't stay here. We have to go." The creature shifted, its form flickering between shadow and substance. I could feel its anger radiating toward us, a force so powerful it made the very walls tremble. The whispers turned into a deafening roar, threatening to engulf us in darkness. "Now," Tom shouted, and with a surge of adrenaline, I snapped back to reality. We needed to escape. We scrambled back to the submersible, the darkness clawing at our heels as we rushed toward the exit. Just as we reached the hatch, I glanced back at the entity. Its eyes blazed with fury, and I felt a surge of regret. We were intruders, uninvited guests in its sacred domain. As we sealed the hatch and ascended rapidly, I could feel the pressure building, a crushing weight against my chest. The darkness behind us receded, but the echoes of the whispers lingered, haunting me. Once we broke the surface, we gasped for air, our hearts racing. The calm waters around us felt deceptive, a cruel contrast to the terror we had just experienced. "What the hell just happened?" Tom panted, his hands trembling. "I don't know," I admitted, the weight of my discoveries pressing heavily on my mind. "But I think we've awoken something we can't control." In the days that followed, our research vessel floated above the Mariana Trench like a fragile bubble in a vast, dark ocean. The horrors we had encountered weighed heavily on all of us, especially me. The whispers that had once been a distant echo in my mind grew louder, more insistent, invading my thoughts at every turn. I spent hours in the control room, reviewing the footage from our dives, searching for answers amid the chaos. Each time I watched the recordings, I felt the weight of that dark mass, its power, its fury, and its ancient wisdom pressing against my psyche. I couldn't shake the feeling that it was calling to me, whispering secrets that were never meant to be heard. "Emily, you need to take a break," Lisa urged one evening, concern etched across her face. "You've been at this for days. It's not healthy." I looked up from the monitor, frustration boiling within me. "I have to understand it, Lisa. This could change everything we know about history." "But at what cost?" she countered, her voice rising. "You're losing yourself in this madness." Her words hung in the air, heavy with truth. I could feel the edges of my sanity fraying, a fine thread stretching taut over the abyss. "I can handle it," I insisted, but even I could hear the uncertainty in my own voice. That night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I was jolted awake by a dream. Or was it a nightmare? I was back in the chamber, surrounded by the glowing murals, the whispers swirling around me like a tempest. The entity loomed before me, its eyes burning with an intensity that pierced through the darkness. "You seek knowledge, but knowledge has a price." I awoke with a start, drenched in sweat, my heart racing. I could still hear the echoes of its voice resonating in my mind. I shook my head, trying to dispel the lingering shadows of sleep. It was just a dream, just a dream. But as days turned into weeks, the dreams persisted, each one more vivid and disturbing than the last. I found myself drawn deeper into the history of the civilization that had once thrived in that abyssal chamber. I pored over texts and records, searching for any mention of the entity we had encountered. It wasn't long before I stumbled upon an obscure reference in an ancient manuscript detailing the worship of a dark god of the sea, a deity that demanded sacrifices to quell its rage. The rituals described mirrored the murals we had seen, and I felt a chill crawl down my spine. The deeper I delved, the more I felt the dark mass in my mind, weaving through my thoughts, planting seeds of doubt and dread. I began to hear the whispers even when I wasn't in the water, even when I was awake. They became a constant presence, a dark melody that played in the back of my mind. Emily, Tom burst into my cabin one morning, his face pale and drawn. "You have to see this." I followed him to the control room, where the monitor displayed a live feed from the submersible's last dive. My heart sank as I saw the familiar dark mass, now more defined than before, swirling ominously in the depths. It was larger, more pronounced, and seemed to pulse with an energy that sent a shiver through me. "It's moving closer to the surface," Tom said, his voice trembling. "I think it's angry." "Angry?" I echoed, my mind racing. "What do we do?" "We can't just let it come to us. We need to report this," Lisa said, her eyes wide with fear. But deep down, a part of me felt a pull toward it, an inexplicable connection that terrified me. "No," I said, my voice steady. "We need to confront it. We can't let it fester in the depths." As we prepared for another descent, a sense of dread settled over me. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into a trap, but the allure of discovery and the need to understand compelled me forward. The descent felt different this time. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the shadows pressing against the hull of the submersible, an oppressive force that weighed on my chest. When we reached the chamber, the darkness greeted us like an old friend. The shadows flickered and the whispers swelled to a deafening chorus, drowning out my thoughts. The creature manifested before us, a swirling mass of ink and rage. I stepped forward, drawn to it like a moth to a flame. "What do you want?" I shouted, my voice trembling. The creature pulsed, its eyes blazing with an intensity that threatened to consume me. "You seek answers, but the truth is a burden. You will be forever changed." I felt a surge of energy, a whirlwind of knowledge flooding my mind. Visions of the ancient civilization played out before me, rituals, sacrifices, the insatiable hunger of the abyss. I gasped, clutching my head as pain shot through me. "You cannot escape your fate," the creature whispered, its voice echoing in the chamber. The images grew more chaotic, twisted faces and anguished screams filling my thoughts. I stumbled back, the weight of their pain crashing over me like a tidal wave. "Stop it," I screamed, desperation clawing at my throat. "I just want to understand." But the darkness only deepened, wrapping around me like a shroud. I felt myself slipping, the boundaries of reality blurring as I was drawn deeper into the abyss. I woke up gasping, back in the submersible, surrounded by my team. Tom's face hovered above me, concern etched on his features. "Emily, are you okay?" "What happened?" I stammered, confusion clouding my thoughts. "You passed out," he said, helping me sit up. "We had to bring you back." I looked around, the chamber fading away, the echoes of the creature still ringing in my ears. "The whispers," I murmured, trying to piece together what had just happened. Lisa knelt beside me, her face pale. "You were screaming. It was like you were in some kind of trance." "It's trying to tell me something," I insisted, shaking my head. "We need to go back in." Tom looked skeptical. "Are you sure that's a good idea? We don't know what that thing is capable of." But I felt the pull of the dark mass, a connection that bound me to it. "I have to understand," I said, desperation creeping into my voice. Against their better judgment, we prepared for another descent. As we descended back into the trench, I felt the darkness wrap around me, a familiar embrace that promised answers yet threatened to consume me. Once again, we entered the chamber, the glowing murals casting their soft light over us. But the atmosphere had shifted. There was a palpable tension in the air, a sense that something had changed since our last visit. The dark mass pulsated in the corner, its presence more imposing than before. I felt the whispers rise, swirling around me like a storm. "You have come to seek the truth." I swallowed hard, stepping closer to the entity. "I want to know what happened to your people. What did they do?" The shadows twisted, and the creature began to unfold its story, revealing the civilization that had thrived in this abyss. I saw visions of their lives, their rituals, their devotion to the dark god, and the sacrifices made to maintain their power. But as the visions unfolded, I also witnessed their downfall. The very entity they had worshipped had turned against them, demanding more and more until they were nothing but husks, lost to the depths. "You will follow their path," the creature warned, its voice echoing through the chamber. "You cannot escape your fate." The weight of its words pressed down on me, a cold grip of inevitability. I stumbled back, my breath coming in quick gasps. No, I won't let this happen. But the darkness surged forward, tendrils wrapping around me, pulling me deeper into its grasp. I felt myself being swallowed by the shadows, my mind spiraling into chaos. You seek knowledge, but knowledge has a price. The echoes of the past filled my mind, drowning out my thoughts as I struggled against the darkness. I was losing myself, the boundaries of reality fracturing as the whispers grew louder, overwhelming me. I was trapped in a whirlwind of shadows and memories, caught in the ebb and flow of the past. The civilization's screams echoed through my mind, a haunting chorus that filled my soul with despair. You will understand, the creature hissed, its voice resonating deep within me. You will become one with the abyss. I felt the weight of my fate bearing down on me, crushing my spirit. But amid the chaos, a flicker of defiance ignited within me. I refused to be consumed. I fought against the darkness, clawing my way back to the surface of consciousness. With a surge of willpower, I reached out, grasping for the remnants of my identity. No, I will not let you take me. The shadows recoiled, hesitating for the briefest moment. It was all the time I needed. I summoned every ounce of strength and propelled myself backward, breaking free from the darkness. As I stumbled back, the chamber trembled. The entity shrieked, a sound that pierced through the air, resonating with anger and betrayal. I felt its rage surging around me, a storm of shadows and chaos. Get out. We need to leave, I shouted, my voice breaking as I stumbled toward the submersible. Tom and Lisa were at the hatch, their faces pale with fear. Emily, come on, Tom urged, desperation in his voice. I darted toward them, my heart racing. The darkness thrashed around us, but I could feel the pull of the surface, the safety of the light beckoning me closer. I lunged into the submersible, slamming the hatch shut behind me. Tom raced to the controls, his hands shaking as he activated the ascent protocol. The submersible jerked violently, the darkness clawing at us as we began to rise. I could hear the entity's screams echoing in the chamber, a cacophony of rage and sorrow that reverberated through my bones. You cannot escape, it howled, the sound reverberating through the depths. As we ascended, I could feel the shadows retreating, but the weight of their presence lingered, a reminder of the knowledge I had uncovered. The whispers faded into the background, but the echoes of the past still pulsed in my mind. Finally, we broke through the surface, gasping for air. The sun blazed down on us, a brilliant contrast to the darkness we had just fled. But as I looked out at the vast expanse of ocean, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. Emily, are you okay? Lisa asked, her voice laced with concern. I nodded, but my mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. The entity, the knowledge, the civilization. I had uncovered something profound, something that would change the course of history, but at what cost? We need to report this, Tom said, his voice firm. This can't stay buried. But I hesitated. No, we can't let anyone else go down there. It's too dangerous. We need to forget what we found. Tom looked at me, confusion etched on his face. But why? This could change everything. I felt the weight of my decision bearing down on me. Because the truth is a burden. Some secrets are meant to stay buried in the abyss. As we sailed back toward the coast, the ocean stretched endlessly before us, a vast and unknowable expanse. The whispers still lingered at the edge of my mind, a haunting reminder of what lay beneath the surface. And though we had escaped the darkness, I knew that it would never truly let me go. I was forever marked by the abyss, a keeper of its secrets, haunted by the echoes of the past. The shadows would always be there, lurking in the depths, waiting for the next curious soul to awaken them once more.